Dolls. The perfect gift for your loving daughter. The gift that you can hold dear, although... I'll... 2 days earlier. I was headed home from work, had to gain a few bucks, and step closer to success. I wanted to celebrate with my family, my wife, Joy, and my daughter, Sissy, who was 3 years old. Also, it's Sissy's birthday today, so I went to Walmart, bought her a gift. Since she likes dolls, I decided to get her one. I was at the toy section, and there was a lot of dolls, but one doll that took my attention, its name was Baby Alive. And the sales clerk said that it walks and talks. I had the perfect amount of money for it, so I bought it. I was on my way home until I heard a very quiet whisper. The whisper scares me out of my flesh, gives me this uneasiness, and the tone of the whisper was rusted and dark. I thought it was the window. I drive my car with my windows open, so I just ignored it, but I still have that uneasy feeling of something watching me. I was home. Happily, my little baby ran to me. "Papa," she says, "I have a perfect present for your birthday." "What is it, Papa?" And then I brought out the gift box. Surprise! She opened it with joy, and finally revealed the doll. "Papa, thank you very much," she said with a happy voice. "So you got your raise?" my wife told me. "Yeah, pretty much. The raise isn't bad," I said. So my daughter played for a few hours with the doll. She seems to enjoy it. She even has a little tea party type of playing. But something's been bugging me. Whenever I look at that doll, the doll's head turned towards me while my daughter is not paying attention. I don't know. It must be a loose bolt in the doll's neck or something. I mean, it must be. I just shrugged it off, but the stare of the doll scares me, and I'm definitely having nightmares tonight. Okay, darling. You should be getting to bed. It's getting late, and kids don't sleep late. "But Papa, I want to play more!" She was very sad, but I have to make her sleep. "Get to bed, darling. I'll give you another doll if you want to." "Yay! Okay, Papa!" She immediately went to her room with her doll. "Good night, sweetie. Don't let the bed bugs bite." "Good night, Papa." Then suddenly, a quiet whisper said, "Good night, Daddy," with the same tone that I heard from the whisper earlier. Ugh, I shivered with fear. I looked around to see if anyone was there, and the results were nothing. The room suddenly got colder. Everything got dark, although I haven't even turned off the light. The light starts to flicker. The second time it flickers, I saw the doll standing, staring at me with those eyes, and it made me very uncomfortable until the doll's eyes turned black. I started crying blood. I let out a scream at the top of my lungs. "What is happening?" The lights flickered again. This time I saw the doll holding a knife in her right hand, and my poor baby's head. At that moment, I thought my sanity snapped. I felt unconscious on the floor, and when I woke up, I looked at my watch. It was only 5 minutes after that it happened. And then I remembered, "Sissy!" I ran by her bed and saw her sleeping. I sighed with relief. That must have been delusions. Since I had a hard day at work today, I closed the door, I went to our room. "So did she enjoy playing with her new doll?" my wife said. "Yeah, she loved it, but..." "What is it, darling?" "Actually, never mind, let's talk about this tomorrow." My wife looked at me with a worried expression and said, "Are you sure, Luke? You're sweating." "Yes, I am sure." Good night. Gave her a kiss on the forehead and slept. That was a very, very bad idea. The dream I had still haunts me until today. I saw my daughter running around. "Catch me, Papa! Catch me! I'm coming, baby!" We chased like nothing's going to break our happiness. "Okay, baby. I'm tired. We should Then I saw that doll. That doll has black, shining eyes and crying blood, just like what I saw in my delusions. Her arms were bleeding and was pulling my daughter. "Papa, help me!" I panicked, but I couldn't move. Fear was holding me back. And I started to laugh. A short laugh. And then I laughed uncontrollably. I'm losing my sanity right here. When I heard my daughter scream, it snapped me back to reality. I reached to her arm and held it tight. "Hold me, baby! Don't let go! Papa!" Then suddenly her arm rips off. My daughter wailed in pain. I just stared at my daughter's arm, which I'm holding in my right hand. Then stared at the doll eating my daughter. The doll said with that voice again. This time it has a demonic tone. "Never leave me alone. Play with me." After that, I woke up from my sleep, drenched with cold sweat. "Darling, what's wrong?" shouted my wife. It took me time to answer back. It's nothing serious, darling. It's just a small nightmare." "You never had nightmares before. What is it?" Then I sighed. "It's that doll." My wife chuckled. "Come on. You're afraid of a doll?" "No!" "But that doll, it's different. It's like a living monster." My wife kisses me and said, "Darling, you're just imagining things. Not that you're crazy, but you're just not used to it. Come here." She hugged me. "Thanks, darling. Man like me? Darn, it's my first time to get scared. Shh. Let's go back to sleep." And she took the blanket. I just realized it was 3 a.m. I heard enough stories when you wake up at 3 a.m. There's something staring at you, or the devil's hour, or whatever. Those aren't true anyway. I went back to sleep. Morning. I went to work. I was still sleepy because I didn't sleep well last night. Well, was that dream true? No, what does it mean? I don't want to think about it anymore. I didn't notice that I was sleeping. "Wake up, you lazy bastard!" shouted my boss. Oh God, I'm sorry. Was I sleeping? "Get to work if you don't want your raise to be decreased." "Oh, okay, sir. I'm really sorry again, sir. I can't believe it. It's my first time to get drowsy. Well, might as well get back to work, right?" I did my usual routine. Work, eat, rest, work, go home. As soon as I reached my house, something felt wrong. I noticed that our lawn wasn't mowed. Impossible. I remembered mowing it this morning. I then walked towards the door. As I felt the doorknob, it was cold as ice. Then suddenly something banged the window. I saw my wife's head bleeding. Her skull was broken open. Instantly, I panicked. I opened the door. As soon as I opened the door, everything was normal. My daughter was playing with that doll again. My wife was in the kitchen cooking. My daughter noticed me and ran up to me with a smile. "Welcome home, Papa!" She tackled me without me knowing. Yeah. I'm home." I managed to smile to make sure that my daughter didn't worry about me, but my wife saw that I was making a fake smile. I mouthed at her, "Talk later." I then took a look at the doll, to see it smiling, and when I stared at its eyes, I knew what it was trying to say. "You are dead." I shrugged it off, thinking that I must be very tired to think such a thing, like predicting what a doll could say, but when I looked at it again, this time, the doll said it. My daughter and wife didn't notice it, so I found it strange. Why? We ate like we always do, but whenever I took a look at that doll, it keeps disturbing me until I lose my appetite. I'm going to bed. This early? My wife said. I've had a rough day. I went to the room and slammed my body to the bed. Sweet dreams. The voice again. It's the doll! I turned around to see the doll at my doorstep, staring at me with a knife. It lunged at me to stab me. Being an expert at fighting back bullies, I countered the attack and stabbed the doll. What's happening up there? My wife called out. She and my daughter went up. As the door opened, I yelled at them to stand back. It was too late. The doll attacked my daughter and my wife. They were both defenseless. My wife protected my daughter and she was stabbed in the process. My daughter ran downstairs to call the police, while I, on the other hand, was just lying on the floor, brutally watching my wife be murdered. The doll chopped my wife's head off, opened her skull, and ate her brains. It sliced my wife's stomach open, pulled out all of the intestines, and I snapped back to reality. Kicked the doll. I then ran downstairs to find my daughter. I found her in the basement, hiding from the doll, and when I opened the cabinet, I saw her crying. When I looked at her eyes, it was full of fear and pain, and I then saw that she also was bleeding. Papa, I'm scared. I sat at her side to comfort her and tended the wounds, and we stayed at the cabin until it was safe. Boy, were we wrong about that. The doll found her way to the basement, slammed the door open. My daughter screamed and the doll stabbed her throat, making a sound that sounds like a whistle. This time I was alert. I took the doll by its neck, wrestled it to the ground. It suddenly grew to life size. We fought each other, trying to find each other's weaknesses, trying to kill each other, and I stabbed it. I hacked and slashed and hit. And as the battle progressed, I then found out that the doll was mimicking my movements. I made a gesture to stab my head. The doll did the same thing and thus ended its life. I dropped to the floor, crying, but laughing. And soon after, the cops came by and saw my wife and my daughter's dead corpse. They also saw me. They brought me to a psychiatrist because they saw me laughing hard. Harder than I should have been on the current situation. And when I finally cooled down, I told the police my story. They believed all the details except for one. The doll can't be real. They told me it must be a person they brought in, but I said no, it's real. I saw it in front of my very own eyes. And later on, I was sent to a psychologist. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I couldn't believe it, but it was true. All this doll nonsense. They were nothing but delusions and hallucinations. I was the one. I was the one who murdered my own dear family. I was the one who murdered my wife brutally. I was the one who killed my own daughter. I was the one responsible! The daughters felt sorry about me, and instead bringing me to prison, they brought me to a mental asylum, and I stayed there for 3 months. They told me I was laughing all day long, and that I was insane before. Now I'm once again sane. I prepared the funeral for my daughter and my wife. I shed a lot of tears on the funeral, and many people gave me their condolences, which wasn't helping at all. I then went home with the car. As soon as I had home, I saw the doll at the doorway, smiling at me. It said, "Welcome home, Papa." I smiled. I smiled like a maniac would, and I brought the doll. I went to the kitchen. I brought out a knife. I went outside with the doll in my left arm and the knife in my right hand. Breaking news. A family was murdered brutally last night. The bodies were found around the table and were brutally deformed. They were all wearing formal attire and looked like having a tea party. A few days later, more crimes were reported with the same style of brutality. The curfew was then changed from 8 p.m. to 6 p.m. Every time the police came, they would find a note scribbled in blood from the victims that say, "We will always play together. Join us. Let us have fun."